Mr. O'Brien, how many cases are there? What's the update on the number of cases that have been taken?
As of last Wednesday in the State Claims Agency here, the State Claims Agency advised us that there were 10 active cases and 1 potential case. But the State Claims Agency are here.
We'll follow that up later. 11 in total, to your knowledge.
That's the information provided
and
by the State Claims Agency.
Are you aware who's been sued in those cases? Are you being aware who's been sued? Are all of the laboratories being sued, or just one laboratory, along with the Health Executive? Just to confirm for me at this point.
I would leave that to the State Claims Agency.
Well, no, I'm asking what you're aware of as head of the Health Executive.
I'm not aware to a sufficient level that I could provide you any meaningful answer.
Okay. In relation to the 48 cases that were women who were initially notified, what criteria were used for notifying those women as opposed to the rest of the women out of the 209?
I don't believe there were differential criteria. I think it was down to individual practice by individual clinicians. So it was ad hoc,
haphazard?
Well, there must have been some criteria. But
no, I'm asking you.
I can't answer that question.
You can't answer me as head of the Health Executive. What criteria was used to notify those 48?
No, I can't, and the reason I can't is that this was done in the context of clinical interaction between clinicians and their patients, and I'm not in that space.
Okay. Now, in relation to you are in the space of head of an organisation and holding everything to account. And in relation to Vicky Phelan, if she hadn't come forward, what would have happened within your system that you're head of? What changes would have occurred, if any, if she hadn't come forward and this hadn't come to light?
I can't answer that question.
Well, I'm asking you to answer that question now as head of the Health Executive, please.
But I can't. It's such a hypothetical question that anything I would give you would be pure speculation.
No, it's not hypothetical. It's not hypothetical. I've read your annual account. I've looked at it. You've systems in place. How was this not alerted at some level in all of these? There's a risk assessment committee, there's a director that you report to, and you report to the minister. From a previous question I asked you, you said you were informed early 16 in relation to a memo you were given, and you're going to give us a copy of that.
Yes.
Okay. How did it not go further at that point? I think the word is escalate. But how was it not recognised at that point, given all of these systems?
The issue is that subsequent to that, the process that was to have communicated with the individual women did not function. That malfunction, failure to deliver, failure to complete was never escalated to me.
It was escalated to you in early 16.
There was nothing to escalate. This hadn't happened then.
No, you were made aware in early 16 that there was results of an audit confirming that previous smear tests that had been said negative were positive. You were aware of that?
Yes, of course, I've said that.
Okay, you did. And you said you weren't aware of the significance of it.
No, I haven't said that at all.
The significance of the numbers?
No, I haven't said that.
Oh, I beg your pardon. You correct me, please.
What I have said is that had the process of communication that was laid out in that memo been followed through, had it been brought to conclusion, then we would never have got to a position where there were women who didn't know the outcome of their audits. And that's actually what I said.
Okay, no, Mr. O'Brien, I don't know what's true, sorry, but Mr. O'Brien, what I'm asking you is you were made aware in a memo. How many women were you made aware of that there was a problem with?
I'm going to share the memo with you.
No, I'm asking you now. You've reread it lately.
No, the Chair has already accepted that the appropriate course of action is for me to provide you with the memo. I am not going to begin the process of partially telling you what I remember from a memo that's not in front of me. That would be wrong. Mr. O'Brien, let me say, I find this unacceptable. And as I preface my remarks, I don't think it's any role of this committee to call for heads. That's not part of my role. It is my role to ask you a question. And I asked you earlier on, when were you made aware? I read in the paper that you were made aware from the media. It looks like you were made aware in early... Just please let me finish. No, I have to stop you because you're conflating two different things.
I'm talking about what I read in the media.
Yes.
You can correct me in a minute. As a result of today, you told me you were made aware early in 16 of issues in relation to the audit, issues that arose from the audit.
No, I wasn't made aware of issues that arose from the audit. Let me be very clear, Chair, if I can, so that there is never any subsequent misunderstanding about what I'm saying. First of all, I had no knowledge of the case initiated by Vicky Phelan or the failure to communicate.
No, Mr O'Brien, listen to me.
No, you have to let me answer.
Just, Chair, I will, but I want to clarify something. I have only a limited time. Mr O'Brien, that's not what I asked. Please, I was asked what he was made aware of in the memo. I asked what was the... You said it wasn't significant earlier on. I'm asking you, what were you made aware of? You responded to me, I don't have the memo. You should have the memo, and you read it recently. You said you reread it recently.
I did.
Good. So what was in the memo? What was communicated to you?
Chair, you agreed a process that is simple, that I will give the committee a copy of the memo. You can read the memo. I don't have the memo in front of me. I'm not going to begin paraphrasing and possibly getting wrong what's in the memo. I've been down this road with the PAC before where I've attempted to give you information. It's been partially wrong, and I told you before, with respect, that I'm not going to do that again.
We just give an answer to the question, though, as outlined.
But let me be clear. I was made aware by a memo that I will provide to you of the fact that an audit had been concluded and that there was a plan in place to communicate the results of that audit. The memo itself provided reassurance to me that there was an effective plan in place. I was never subsequently informed that anything had gone wrong in the process of communication. The first I knew that that was the case was when I heard media reports relating to the Vicky Phelan case.
Okay.
Sorry, I just want to finish on that. I have to say, my question was in relation to accountability and what you were made aware of. You were repeating and you're repeating. And the question is, as Director of the Health Executive, what alarm bells rang for you at that point, if any, and what did you do? And I've got repetition.
Okay.
I've run out of time.
I'll just answer that, if I may, because I answered it before. There was nothing in the memo that rang alarm bells.
Okay. Just at this juncture, as I've